Dear Jill Stein and Green Party people, how's your day going? Alright, first of all, let me just say this right off the bat. Let me just tell you what this campaign and this video is not before I tell you what it is. This is not a message to Green Party supporters to just shut up and vote for Hillary Clinton because, well, Donald Trump. This is not that. This is a message to Jill Stein and the Green Party, whom I personally agree with on most issues more than I agree with Hillary Clinton and the Democrats. To go from being what you are now, which is at best an irrelevant sideshow, and at worst is the Republican Party's secret weapon that helps elect climate-denying senators, congressmen, and presidents, to instead making a potentially world-changing strategic maneuver to leverage the green vote, to make history and make the biggest impact you've ever made on an election and on the future of this earth. I'm gonna get to the game plan in a second and a message directly to Jill. But first of all, to the party people of a green persuasion, there's something I've been meaning to tell you guys for a while now.
Turn down for what? Turn down for what?
Hey, it's a political party, not a dance party, you idiot. Alright, what party later? So we're just receiving word, apparently being a self-confessed sexual predator still leaves you eligible to be president of the United States. And seeing as there's no law against it, it's still up to you, the American people, to decide. Seriously though, just take note. The video you're about to watch was written and recorded before the Donald Trump sexual assault scandal broke. I'm aware that it is hopefully far less likely that he'll win this election now. But the blue-green alliance that I'm proposing here has just become even more significant for two critical reasons. While most people only pay attention to the presidential race because it's far more dramatic, and that's what they make movies about, when it comes to the climate and environmental crisis, who controls the Congress and Senate is equally, if not more important, in terms of bringing about the massive changes required to reverse the climate emergency and move towards a sustainable civilization. And now that what has essentially become a civil war in the Republican Party is brewing, with high-ranking GOP governors, congressmen, and senators pretending like they just learned that Donald Trump is a misogynist, human piece of shit, and KKK members / Trump supporters likely to punish those same politicians up for re-election by not supporting them, an enormous opportunity has now arisen to flip the Senate, flip the Congress, and bring about massive electoral defeat to the fossil fuel industry puppets, also known as the GOP. Now I know many Green Party supporters are not that excited by this possibility and think the Democratic Party is not nearly progressive enough on environmental issues. That's why the idea of a blue-green alliance has become even more urgent. Just imagine what would happen if, as the Republican Party stands divided and falling, Greens and Democrats come together as grown-ups to deal with the climate emergency like intelligent adults. So every time you hear me say the words Donald Trump, also hear the words Republican Party. Because when it comes to this suicidal science and climate denial, they are absolutely one and the same. Every time I talk about the closeness of the presidential race in this video, whether or not that becomes the case again in the next few weeks, know that that is absolutely the case in the battle to safeguard American land, waters, people's health, and the global climate being fought for in the rest of the electoral battles that will determine the leadership of the US government. So if you hear me out, I can challenge you that in 10 minutes from now, I will bet you the world you'll agree that the Blue-Green Alliance might be the greatest opportunity for desperately needed emergency action on the environmental crisis that we may see at any point in the near future. Alright, take it away. So, you're thinking about voting for Ralph Nader. I mean Jill Stein, living in complete denial and blindly irrespective of the fact that that would help elect the climate-denying George W. Bush. Who? Oh, I mean the climate-denying, woman-hating, racist, wannabe finger on the nuclear trigger, what the fuck is that on your head, Donald J. Trump to become president of the United States. Let's do something Green Party voters in swing states who could have easily made Al Gore the most powerful person on earth didn't do back in the year 2000. And let's think about this for a second. Let's rewind a bit and look at the numbers. The election in 2000 was so close, it came down entirely to the state of Florida. And Florida was so close, George Bush only beat Al Gore there by 537 votes. That's a high school. The Green Party, meanwhile, wasted a small city of nearly 100,000 votes, enough to have easily put a global warming activist in the White House for 4 or possibly 8 years. But instead, we got this guy. The ramifications of that tragic and deadly mistake at the turn of the millennium will resonate for literally millions of years to come. Not just in the thunder of increased warfare that will break out if the Earth's climate falls apart, but in the silence of species gone forever. The increased level of mass extinctions and ecosystems collapse that will result from having the United States, the most powerful nation on Earth and the world's largest economy, actively sabotage any international efforts to address this crisis for 8 crucial, pivotal years. 8 years we could have had all the massive progress that undoubtedly would have been made in an Al Gore administration. Fast forward to 2016. Once again, Florida is shaping up to be an extremely close race and could end up being a checkmate state for this biblically important election. And you know what else Florida is shaping up to be?
Underwater.
You know who's not going to do anything about it? Jill Stein, because she's not going to be president. You know who's going to make this already dangerous situation astronomically worse? Give him a hint, Bernie.
He believes that climate change is a hoax. In fact, he wants to expand the use of fossil fuels. That would be a disaster for our country and for the entire planet.
You know who the only person on the ballot is with an actual chance of winning, who is actually going to do something about this? You know the name. What's she gonna do about it? Now, I get into that heavily in the Animals Against Trump video, and I don't want to repeat myself. But if you're still uninformed enough to believe that Clinton and Trump are the same when it comes to the most important issue on Earth, then you really need to watch that. But all the literally monumental progress that Obama has made, that Trump would destroy, and that Clinton would protect and build on, is that enough to reverse global overheating? No, not according to climate scientists. It's not time to pat ourselves on the back yet. We absolutely need to do more. We need to make faster progress. The science is screaming at us and we're running out of time. So how can we get Hillary Clinton to do more as president? That's where Jill Stein and the Green Party is the key. Think strategically about what you want to happen over the next 4 years, as opposed to superficially about who you want the chief public servant to be. Here's what I'm suggesting. We all know the next president is going to be Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. You're not going to be the next president, Jill. Sorry. So the only way you're going to have an impact on this world is by either A, keep doing what you're doing, try your best to sabotage Hillary's chances, pull a Ralph Nader, and put someone who will be a death sentence to billions of wild animals in the White House. Or B is the right answer. Help a scientifically literate candidate who stands a world of extinction apart from Trump on environmental policy win the Oval Office, and by doing so, help set the environmental agenda of the next president. So what this campaign is about, what I am suggesting, is that you do much better than a simple endorsement. And that's to do what Bernie Sanders already did. Call Hillary up, have your people call her people, and go meet with her. Come to a compromise. Get to a middle ground. Just as Bernie fought long and hard for what he believed in, and when it was clear he was still millions of votes short from the White House, he sat down with Hillary, negotiated, met halfway with something both of them could stand behind, and succeeded in creating
By far, the most progressive platform in the history of the Democratic Party.
It's time for Stein to do the same. And in exchange for an endorsement in swing states and in all close Senate and congressional races, make the Democratic platform, as carried by her standard bearer, the most environmentally progressive platform in American history. Which would have to break its own record, and I think that's cool. And take this beyond politics to make a real world difference. Okay, so you say I'm a dreamer, that's never gonna happen. This is a more complex problem than this guy is saying. Yes, it is. But let's keep using our brains here. Protecting the environment is nearly universally popular. Pretty much every American, every animal in the world wants clean air, water, clean food. Pretty much everyone in the country, other than the Koch brothers and Eric and Donald Trump Jr., wants to protect nature and wild animals. Even the threat posed by climate change is understood somewhat, at least, by a majority of the population. So you pushing Clinton to have a more progressive, an even superior environmental platform than she already has is doable, is going to be popular, is not going to be hard for her to make bigger commitments that are within her presidential powers. Although she's going to deliver to her full potential, the Congress and the Senate matter just as much. Now, you won't be able to get everything you want. That's how compromise works.
That is what democracy is about.
But you are going to be able to make more progress than the nothing you were achieving right now, or the catastrophic damage you might cause by helping Trump triumph, and I am 100% sure of that. Why? Because in case you haven't noticed, ever since she was really little, Hillary Clinton really wanted to be president. Securing a Green Party endorsement in swing states would all but guarantee that. And what's the number one priority of every first-term president? Getting re-elected. And for the Democrats to win 4 consecutive terms in the White House, which hasn't been done since FDR, she's gonna need all the help she can get. And if environmentalists become an intelligent, active part of the coalition that helps Democrats win, as opposed to sabotaging them and helping to put ignorant oil industry GOP puppets into office, then the Democratic Party will essentially become the new effective Green Party. Not as radical on paper as the official Green Party that still competes in non-swing states as a show of strength, but nevertheless getting things done in order to protect our Earth and mobilize our response to the climate crisis. You know, it's funny I mentioned mobilization in FDR, because not since then, when America faced an enemy that posed a threat to its very existence, has a party succeeded in creating this kind of unity. But in a world where an existential threat, not just to America, but to civilization and the entire biosphere now menaces, is it not time for some sort of emergency coalition? So Green Party people, and this goes out to every democracy in the world, let's stop fucking around with irrelevant, petty politics as the Earth literally burns and we're facing a global meltdown, and start making a real world life and death difference. Start making strategic alliances and deal with this rationally, like the state of emergency that it is. Because using your current strategy, every hand you shake,
Every breath you take,
every speech you make,
every move you make,
every like you get on Facebook, every vote you get,
every smile you fake, every claim you speak.
helps put Donald Trump in the White House. Do the damn math. I don't care how stubborn you are. I don't care how much you want to live in denial and reject reality, which is really disappointing for people who are supposed to base our opinions on science and logic. If Jill Stein truly believes a single word she says about climate change being a crisis,
Every vow you break,
then she will put her money where her mouth is and act. This is a state of emergency, and we need to start treating it like that. In an emergency, you do things you don't normally do. You do things you may have never done before. And compared to a polar bear swimming 8 days straight in search of ice, desperately starving to death, looking for food to feed her cubs, this isn't going to be very hard for you to do. You're over 18, you can vote, you're a grown-up, you just need to stop being stubborn. So we're about to find out what kind of person you are. If your critics are right and you're just a professional politician in this race for money and attention, then you'll just keep doing what you're doing. And at this point, there's a really strong chance that'll materialize into all the preventable disasters I just mentioned and more. Why? So you can wave your Green Party flag? Do you care about a political party or about a planet? That's the wrong one, man. Who's editing this shit? Now, if your critics are wrong and you actually give a shit about the Earth and her people, then you'll go down in history as the most influential third-party candidate since, well, the year 2000. But this time in a really good way. Because we don't want to talk about that other time anymore now, do we? Do you want to wake up on November 9th and be remembered as the person who helped crown Donald Trump king? Or to do what the scientists are telling us to do? Use logic, act boldly, and join Uncle Bernie to be remembered as someone who truly cares about people and the planet enough that they're willing to sacrifice their own ego and pride and fame. Although this might make you a lot more famous, to be honest, and decided to change the course of history, not just by helping to defeat the most dangerous candidate ever to run for president, but by being the reason the 45th president is the most environmentally progressive and effective head of state ever to hold office. And that's going to be a tough record to break, with Obama setting the bar as high as he did by protecting an area the size of France and Spain combined. So you and Hillary have your work cut out for you. Go talk. Go have a drink together. And to everyone whose feelings I've hurt by what I've said or how I've said it, but how are you going to feel if you wake up on November 9th or stay up all night on November 8th as they count every last vote in Florida to find out that a psychologically unstable conspiracy theorist is about to move into the White House? And then his victories in Florida and Ohio were within the margin of how many votes the Green Party got. Yeah, I hate to be so blunt about it, but my words are nowhere near as harmful if you're a Green Party supporter living in Miami, for instance, as having your entire neighborhood and city wiped off the map will be. And no, Hillary isn't perfect and never said she was. Responses to a lot of common criticisms are in the video description, so read that before you troll. But the difference between her and that monster Trumpenstein, and no, I don't think Hillary's gonna save the world by herself. Nobody can. But there's also nobody in this world with more power to do something about it than the President of the United States. So to Jill Stein, do the right thing. Make Hillary Clinton a greener president than she was already going to be. Make the Democrats a greener party than they've ever been. Make blue green 2016 so that blue is the new green in 2016 and we can all come together to stop Donald. Science is a giant hoax, Trump. Jill, only you can guarantee that we can defeat the monster Trumpenstein. Make an alliance, come together for the love of life. Let's make it more than just a candidate. Let's make it a movement, a coalition of Clinton, Sanders, Stein, 2016. With a little help from DiCaprio and friends maybe. To everyone watching, send this to Jill Stein right now. Tag her VP Baraka, tag the Green Party USA, tag any of your friends who actually give a puck about this planet and everyone who lives on it. Tag every environmental group to get them to turn up the pressure to get these politicians to act responsibly. Blue-Green Alliance. Talk to him, Uncle Bernie.
I have come here today not to talk about the past, but to focus on the future. That future will be shaped more by what happens on November 8th in voting booths across our nation than by any other event in the world.